This training is a brief overview of a larger training regarding discipline documentation for secretaries or any support staff that may help with discipline documentation. We'll talk about student discipline, behavior documentation, roles and responsibilities, briefly review letter templates for suspension letters, outline some resources that can all be accessed through the discipline website, and then there is a comprehensive vector training that's asynchronous that covers every element of documentation training. By the end of this, you'll know what your roles and responsibilities are with regard to discipline documentation, you'll know where to access resources, you'll know how to document discipline incidents within Infinite Campus and to run JPS validation reports, and you'll know who to call when you need support. Typically, when managing student discipline events, the administrator or dean responsibilities include completing the investigation, gathering the evidence, providing due process, determining your disciplinary response by referencing the discipline matrix, and completing the discipline checklist, which is required for every out-of-school suspension and highly recommended for any incident that requires an investigation. They also communicate with the families and guardians in their preferred language, whether this is in person or over the phone. Typically, they document the behavior and the response in Infinite Campus Behavior Management tab, and then they complete the suspension letter in the preferred languages and send to the families. Some schools, however, have secretaries that support with this responsibility. What this could mean is that possibly the secretary is documenting the behavior and response in the Infinite Campus Behavior Management tab using the information that's provided to them within the discipline checklist, and they may complete the suspension letter and send those to the families. What they definitely are not responsible for is determining the disciplinary response or code that should be used by referencing the matrix. They will never ever complete the discipline checklist. That is not a secretary responsibility, and they will not be responsible for communicating with families or guardians in a preferred language, whether this is in person or over the phone. The accuracy of all information that's documented with regard to student discipline and what is communicated is always the responsibility of your administrator or dean. This is not a secretary responsibility. So, they will fill out the discipline checklist with all of the information as they want it communicated to the family. They'll forward the copy of the discipline checklist to you so that you can complete the suspension letter. And if there's a language other than English, everything needs to be done through the administrator. This is so that you can access the suspension letter template and fill in the blanks with what is provided accurately. And you may be able to assist with that part, and then you can complete the documentation in the Behavior Management tab, but only if that's your responsibility. Really depends on the school. Very briefly, the letter templates that can be used or that have to be used when documenting a student suspension are all found on the discipline website. I've included some very small samples here, but essentially the highlighted areas are what you will be filling in, and it is a drop down. So when you access the letter template, you download it, and then the fields will be editable. If a student has an IEP or 504, there's some language that may need to be included, but this is something that your administrators should inform you of. And then once you've completed all the fields and removed any unnecessary paragraphs or languages, changed all of the font color from red, if it was red, to black, etc., then you will save that to the global suspension upload folder using the naming convention that's below it. It's your 5-digit school ID number _ student last name _ student first name _ and then year, month, and date. It's very important that the naming convention be accurate so that these can be archived overnight into the district folder. This slide includes discipline office resources that can all be found on the discipline website. These include the internal discipline matrix. There's a new discipline help bot for some of the shorter, more concrete questions that you may have. There's also links to the district prevention and intervention manual reference guide, the discipline checklist, all letter templates, and guidance on investigations, due process, and suspensions and expulsions. There's also a district procedure guide that's underlined here. This is all things Jeffco. It's not just discipline, but it's a great tool and I highly recommend bookmarking that. So that's the end of our overview. The next section of this training does include a comprehensive documentation training as well as a short assessment.